Hi, I'm Josh Carter, and I want to welcome you to KNTV, a free to view channel full of good news content to inspire lives.
And I'm Tim Bishop, and together we plan to bring you a channel that is full of good news stories. Stories that are true, not always easy to be told, but always inspirational.
So be sure to subscribe to the channel and keep up to date with the latest content, and we hope you enjoy these life changing stories.
Hi, my name's Shaun. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time just telling you about my journey and how he has come to influence the way that I think and the way that I speak. I haven't always been a Christian. I haven't certainly always behaved like a Christian either. So a little bit about me. I'm one of three. I have two brothers. I'm from southeast England in Kent. I'm almost 50 years of age. When I was a child, I didn't really I came from a Christian family, but not a Christian family. My dad was not a Christian at all. He was a rocker. He had six brothers, and they used to ride on their motorbikes and beat up mods. My mum, on the other hand, came from a church-going family. My dad would not want to go to church. I was raised in a Baptist church environment with my two brothers. I came from a very kind of mixed background with a school. We had Hindus and Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, plenty of atheists, people who are agnostic. Maybe there's a God, maybe there isn't. And it was a diverse culture that I was a part of. And there was a constant question, which is, I'm being raised up to believe in a God, and lots of people have lots of different ways of understanding who God is and what God does or what God doesn't do. And so as a teenager, that encouraged me to look into other faiths, other religions, to kind of try and understand what the main differences were. As far as I can tell, no other God has become human and then died so that I can live. That's a really important part, and without that key thing, the Christian faith is dead in the water. I got baptised when I was 16. However, before that, I did shoplifting. I got into pornography in a bad way. I wasn't particularly nice to some people. I stole my best friend's girlfriend a couple of times. Can you believe it? How rude is that? Yet when I was 16 and I'd decided I was going to live the Christian life and truly dedicate myself to what Jesus had been teaching, I invited my dad to my baptism. And Dad soon after became a Christian. Shortly after that, I finished secondary school with some okay qualifications. I was being sponsored by Balfour Beatty to get into civil engineering and to become a site engineer. And I had the opportunity to go away to college, to live away from home and to learn, which was very great. As being part of the Boys Brigade, we'd been on some summer camps, and there was a girl that I'd met who lived really close by to where I was going to college. I thought, this is perfect. God has arranged the love of my life and my future career to be so close together. This is marvellous. Went to college, and within a few short months, things didn't work out between me and my girlfriend. I don't think it was down to me, but certainly what happened next was completely down to me. Now, unfortunately, she had decided that she fancied somebody else. She slept with them and got pregnant. I was devastated. I was devastated by that. And I blamed her. But then I also blamed God. How immature of me. I'd only just got baptised, saying I was going to live the life, knowing that difficulties were going to come, but it was going to be okay. And yet this difficulty came along where my girlfriend had slept with somebody else and had a baby by someone else. And I was heartbroken. And I was really angry. And quite upset. So I blamed God, became really angry, didn't trust anybody. I flipped very quickly. My friends didn't understand. Or they kind of understood. They understood why I'd done that, but they didn't understand why I had done that. So they understood the mitigating factors, but they didn't understand why my faith, why I didn't choose. And that's the key thing here, is I've got to choose to believe and choose to work through the difficult stuff. But at that time I was too immature. It's nothing to do with age. My life took a different turn. I denied God. No thank you. Don't believe that you exist. How could you? Something nasty like that happened to me. And I then I started drinking a lot, taking recreational drugs, having relationships that weren't really going anywhere. I was having relationships where I wasn't invested in the relationship. I just wanted to go out with a woman. That was it. So I slept around. Terrible. And that's kind of how my life went, really, for the next 7 years, from 17 round to 24. And before I came back to God, I was living in Muswell Hill, quite close to Alexandra Palace in the north part of London, working on night shifts on London Underground with the Balfour Beatty company that I was working for at the time. I was getting a bit despondent with work and I really wanted to do something else. And across the hallway in the shared house that I lived in was a couple called John and Charlotte. And I got to chatting with them and they invited me to a party. Now, and I loved a party. Who didn't like a party? And I was really looking forward to it. Now, I must kind of go back a little bit. When I was a teenager and I was looking at other faiths and other religions, there was also something else I looked at, which was witchcraft. Not that I was actively participating in witchcraft, but I was curious as to, well, what is it? And reading a testimony from a woman called Doreen Irvine in her book, From Witchcraft to Christ, was a real eye-opener. Amongst other resources that I had read and things that I'd listened to, it was a real eye-opener about what happens in the occult for some people. So the date was set for when the party was going to be held, and they came, had my clothes on, we went down there, the three of us. It was round the Angel in Islington. So yeah, there's a queue of people turned up. Oh, John, Charlotte, nice to see you. Oh, come on in. Who's your friend? Oh, this is Shaun. Oh, that's nice. Come on in. Oh, I feel kind of special because I didn't have to queue up with all of those people. We went into the venue. It was quite large, spacious, a few corridors, and then into a big spacious room with a terrace balcony overlooking the kind of dance floor with a bar. You know, there's bar drinks, music, flashing lights, smoke machines, all that kind of fantastic stuff. The music was great. Lots of people in there. Wonderful. As the evening went on, it became, I don't know how to describe this, it's quite unusual. But the way that the evening went on, there were things that I was thinking and feeling that with circumstances that were going on in the room, that kind of reflected what was going on. If I thought, oh, it'd be really nice to talk to a woman, all of a sudden a woman would make a beeline to me. It was amazing, right? Because the crowd of people would separate. It was like the passing of the Red Sea, yeah? But the crowd would separate. And this woman would then start walking towards me with a crowd of people sort of, as she came towards me, the people then closed in behind her. It was like really crazy. So it was like it opened up, this woman appeared, started walking towards me, and then it closed in behind her. She was like staring fixated at me. And then I just thought to myself, this seems a bit weird. I don't think I want to do this. Now, as far as I'm aware, I'm just moving to the music as it's going. And as soon as I think that, she stops, she turns around, and the rest of the thing closed up. So that's one example of something that happened. There was a number of things which were happening through the evening that kept on just making me go, something's not quite right here. I didn't feel any danger. And so what came to my mind then was, I felt as though God was speaking to me. And he'd been speaking to me for a while, and I'd been ignoring him, saying, no. And he was going, Shaun. He was calling me in a still, quiet voice, come back. I was like, oh. I'd started talking to God again, but I'm supposed to hate him, right? Do you find that you sometimes do that? You sometimes find yourself talking to God, even though you say, I don't believe he's there. And you know that he's talking to you. Well, anyway. He'd been talking to me, and I knew that he'd been drawing close to me. And in this party, I recognised that there's something not going on here that was quite right. Something like from the book that I read from Doreen Irvine, from Witchcraft to Christ. Something otherworldly was happening in this place. So I, in my heart, with the music all going and the lights flashing, in my heart said, God, I'm so sorry that I ran away from you for 7 years. I'm so sorry of how I've behaved towards you, towards my parents, towards my friends, to people I barely know. All those ladies, what was I like? I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I want to start walking with you again. I've got a lot of stuff that's got to be put right, but I want to start walking with you again. And in that very moment of me doing that, of me thinking that inside my heart and my mind, yeah, I didn't get down on my knees or anything like that on the floor in the club, there, standing there with foot tapping to the music. As soon as I did that, there was this almighty shout from upstairs on the balcony. So as I looked up, almighty shout. Now, the governor of the place was a massive bloke who had a tattoo like a dinosaur on his back. I don't know if that has any relevance, but that's how I remember him. Massive tattoo, massive bloke. He came charging down the stairs. He said, what's been going on now? It's amazing how we heard his voice over the sound of the music, but it was undeniably his voice shouting, and it was crystal clear, and he didn't have a microphone. What is going on here? Who's done that? Stop the music right now. And the music stopped. Put the lights on. Turn and turn off the smoke machine. Everything. Who did that? Who has done this? And I could not tell you how many people were staring at me. Now remember, all I'm doing is I'm standing there on the dance floor, tapping my foot to the music and getting right with God. This just reinforced that kind of odd feeling that I had that something wasn't quite right in this place. Something else otherworldly was going on. And that's when I came back to God. Essentially what happened was most people were told to leave. John and Charlotte came up to me and they said, what have you done, Shaun? What have you done? You've really messed things up. I said, what do you mean I've messed things up? I've just come along to the party. I didn't tell them what I'd done. I was kind of testing the water a little bit here. And they said, well, look, everyone's going. I said, yeah, I guess I'll be going. And they said, no, you've got to stay. You've got to stay. So I stayed. Lots of people went out. They weren't very happy. And there's a few funny looks coming my way. And then finally there was 13 of us. I don't know why. He wanted us to have a drink of a Bloody Mary. And so we had a drink of a Bloody Mary. And then I went home. A few days later, John and Charlotte crossed the hallway, knocked on the door. And I opened the door, and we had a number of conversations through it. And in those conversations, I did kind of say to them, well, look, you guys are witches, you know. What was the crack with being in that coven there? What were you trying to do? And they said, well, we wanted you to join. We wanted you to join. I mean, then you went and believed in God. Well, why did you do that? And I said, well, if you believe in the devil, you've got to know that God exists, and God's more powerful than the devil, right? You know that? And so John and Charlotte and I had a really amicable series of conversations, both in the flat and out and about. They then moved on. I then moved on. And I moved to I moved to Waterloo, where I joined a church plant from Holy Trinity Brompton in South Kensington, which was really good. Did the Alpha course, which was great. I got back on track reading the Bible, went to Bible school for a little bit. I will tell you one other kind of short little story in tandem with how I came back to faith. I was working for Balfour Beatty at the time, as I said, working on London Underground during the night shift. Now, on one particular shift, we were working at the Archway, and before the shift started, mobilising the troops, getting the men there, I turned up, and some of the guys were already unloading the vehicle and getting stuff ready to go down into the tube station and then going down onto the track. The guys were at the top, so that they were working around the van. I approached Archway tube station, and a woman came round the corner. Long flowing, so this is the part that I really remember from her. Long flowing, quite curly hair, and she just walked round the corner, and she walked straight up to me, and she goes, "You're a son of the king." And then she turned to the other guys who were unloading the vehicle and said, "Whatever he says, listen to, because he knows the living God." And with that, she then walked off. Considering that was so soon after the event in the Angel Islington at that private party where the huge guy with the tattoo on his back came down the stairs and stopped everything when I gave my life back to God, I see that there's a connection between those two, that the spiritual ramifications, the ripples that went out from there touched other people. I don't even know, that lady may have been at that particular party, but still, the way that she came round and addressed me and spoke to the guys without, it's really rare. 11 o'clock at night. She wasn't off her nut either, before anyone thinks that. She came and addressed that situation, which was amazing. So all I can say is talk to God, be prepared to hear from him and to act on what he says. Being a Christian is the best thing, and I hope to see you in eternity.